Hello, ladies and gentlemen. 22nd of January. It is Tuesday, 2019. I usually do not go towards the political side very much on my channel, but as what we've seen and continue to see unfold in this nation with the Democratic left getting further and further away from God, I saw fit to write down some notes and found some really good articles to take some information from. So I think I am going to do this for this evening, and that is today's Democrats: anti-Christian, anti-Israel, and anti-God. Anyone who considers himself a friend of God must have at least great pause when it comes to modern Democrats. Seldom has a major American political party so distanced itself from the notion that, as President John Adams once pointed out, righteousness exalteth a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. This is what happens when live your truth is prevailing moral position. No one should be surprised that politicians who support the right to kill children in the womb, who championed the legal redefinition of marriage, and who now pretend we can no longer rely on science or common sense or even simply our eyes to tell us who is a male and who is a female, would display open animus against people whose faith tells them such positions are immoral, and who live according to the notion that there is such a thing as absolute truth. If something is immoral, then perhaps it should be illegal. If there is such a thing as absolute truth, then perhaps our laws should reflect that truth. Democrats just can't take the chance that such thinking will prevail. Thus, unless Christians can manage to get themselves elected, our role in government is increasingly imperiled. This is especially true of Christians who wish to serve in the judiciary, because liberals have long seen the courts as a super legislature they can use to enact their perverse agenda. Recently, with Judge Brett Kavanaugh, will be far from the last conservative judge who will draw the ire of Democrats who wish to derail such nominations. Before Kavanaugh, there was Robert Bork, Clarence Thomas, Amy Coney Barrett, and her loud dogma. Now we have Sir Brian Boucher of the Knights of Columbus. Democrat Senators Kamala Harris and Mazie Hirono recently implied that the Judge Boucher's membership in the 2 million strong, 136-year-old Catholic service organizations makes him unfit for the federal courts. What really troubled the Senate Democrats is the position of the Knights of Columbus on abortion and marriage. Never mind that such positions are perfectly in line with century-old teachings of the Christian Church that on a disqualification on such grounds would bar from public service every Christian who actually adheres to God's teachings. Right-minded Christians should thank God that Trump was elected. As Rod Drescher reported, a new WikiLeaks dump from the Clinton campaign chief John Podesta's emails revealed that Podesta created a couple of activist groups for the sake of undermining the Catholic bishops and the church authority. As Thomas Peters tweeted, the head of the Clinton campaign has been organizing to fracture a major religion. Democrats also oppose Mike Pompeo's nomination as Secretary of State because how his Christian faith informs and impacts his politics. Pompeo, a Presbyterian, has served as a deacon, is open about his faith, and has also indicated that he actually believes what the Bible says about life, sex, and marriage. In November 2017, Sheldon Whitehouse critically questioned Federal District Court's nominee Trevor McFadden, an Anglican, over his church's traditional teachings on marriage and the family. Along with targeting Christians who believe what the Bible reveals on the significant moral issues of our time, modern Democrats have also targeted Jews and the nation of Israel. As John Perazzo recently noted, the black left is littered with racists and anti-Semites. Pardon me. These Jew haters are not mere race pimps and publicly prostitutes, a la Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, but are also elected Democrats. As Warren Henry revealed last year, Democrats are fielding even more anti-Semitic candidates for Congress. They're not just running, but they are winning. As Henry points out, Michigan Representative Rashida Tlaib, who profanely promised to impeach President Trump, is representative of the Democrat Party's gradual march beyond the embrace of candidates and officials who criticize Israeli policy or its current government to a much uglier place in politics. Like a growing number of Democrats in Congress, Tlaib supports a one-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, along with the boycott, divestment, sanctions, BDS movement. Boycott, divestment, sanctions, the BDS movement. Henry also notes the founders and leaders of the BDS movement support a one-state solution that destroys Israel as a Jewish state. The movement is the intellectual descendant of the 1945 Arab boycott, which did not distinguish between Jews and Israel. It is based on the premise that Israel is a racist apartheid state, requiring the sort of action once taken against South Africa. Mark Greendorfer recently revealed, while BDS has risen in the United States, so has anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitic, pardon me, I'm having problems saying that word this evening. Anti-Semitic incidents have spiked from a low point of 751 incidents in 2013 to nearly 2,000 in 2017. It is no coincidence that the spread of a movement that demonizes Jews has had the same effect in the United States that similar campaigns had in the last 2,000 years. The real agenda of the BDS is the destruction of Israel. Robert George of Princeton warns that leading Democrats will soon altogether turn on Israel. The modern left hates Israel because the existence of a nation called Israel is among the greatest evidence that the God of the Bible is real. They hate God, so therefore they hate Israel. This is why the left hates Christianity. Authentic Christianity points people to the truth. As a California church recently declared, Bruce Jenner is still a man. Homosexuality is still a sin. The culture may change. The Bible does not. The left's deceit seems to know no bounds. Thus, we are left debating what was once almost universally accepted. This is what results when a major political party is so often opposed to the truth. That, my friends, is an article. Today's Democrats, anti-Christian, anti-Israel, and anti-God. We are seeing more and more of the Democratic liberal left, progressive liberal. Let me reiterate that. The Democratic liberal progressive socialist left today is becoming more and more anti-Christian, anti-God, anti-Israel, and I'm going to add one more, anti-American. If you are proud of America and your flag, then you are a racist in their eyes. That is not a far-fetched assumption on my part. It is what they believe. If you are proud to be an American, then you are a white nationalist. Even if you are a African American, you are still considered a white nationalist. Now, I beg to understand that concept that an African American can be a white nationalist, but or I might add a white supremacist. But again, leave it to the liberal, progressive, socialist, democratic left to come up with such nonsense, such utter nonsense. It almost makes you laugh. Makes me smile just to think about it. It reminds me of what happened the other day on television when a woman was being interviewed by a gentleman who was an African American, and the woman that was speaking was also African American, and she said he had white privilege because he had gotten his position at the radio station and he had gotten his program because he is a white male. The African American person who was at the station informed her that she was not well informed on this fact because not only is he not white, he is African American. They are so brainwashed into all of this nonsense that it's ridiculous. We seen the story just this past weekend with the Catholic kids, the high school kids from Kentucky, all over the news, how they attacked this poor little Indian guy, how this Indian guy was doing nothing wrong, and these kids came up and attacked him. And of course, when the whole video was shown, it was shown not to be true. But by the time that it had gotten out what the truth was, the lie had already circled the earth many times, and that's what most people still believe to this day. What they didn't show you was the other group off to the left literally cursing the white students, calling them every filthy name you could ever imagine. If that's not being racist, I don't quite understand. But I digress from my original point that today's Democrats are anti-Christian, anti-Israel, and especially anti-God. They're not going to stop. They're not going to stop. They have elected so many of these to Congress and will continue electing these far left, socialist, anti-Israel, truly anti-American congressmen and senators in that I would make a mere guess in 20 years this nation will no longer be recognizable as a nation of freedom, as a nation of we the people. I do not see that lasting much more than a couple more decades at best. At best, unless something drastic actually partakes and God does intervene into this nation. But we have gone down such a perverse path, such a path of such abomination that, to be all honest, I don't see coming back. I don't see God, intervening at this point. I pray I'm wrong. I do, because I never want to give up on the country that I served in the Army and I love. But, I have to go by what my eyes see, what my ears hear, and what my heart and my gut's telling me. And when I consistently see people attacking others because they simply support a political party like the Republicans or they're conservatives or they believe in God, I'm a perfect example. I have very little subscribers on my channel. I really do. I wish I could get a lot more, but I don't. But I've been so vehemently attacked on my little tiny channel that I had to literally disable the comments because it had gotten to the point where my life was being threatened. Now, that's not Christians threatening me. That was people that don't believe in God that hated what I had to say. I mean, I've got 79 subscribers. 79. And I'm being attacked. Can you imagine the ones that are much more popular, that also speak from the Bible, that speak the truth? Times we are living in, my friends, are not good. Not good. Anyways, have a good evening. Be safe. Take care. Pray. Stay in your word. God bless you. I will see you tomorrow. Subscribe. Like. Down below. You know how to do it. I ain't going through the spiel. You know all about it. I'm out of here. Bye-bye.